Hey everyone, it's Joe Justice. I'm currently in Tokyo, Japan, and I want to talk about interior style and styling and interior design. So I'm in a 59 square meter Tokyo apartment right now. And in an apartment here, you can't mount anything to the walls, you can't change wallpaper. What you can do is leave it in exactly the same shape as when you came in. That still gives you a huge amount of options. Step one, pick your vision, your styling goal. For me, I wanted something like a sleek champagne bar is what I wanted. Some place where I could come in a tuxedo and that would feel at home. And if I had white gloves on, they'd stay white, they'd stay clean. And if I had a lady with me who was wearing a super sharp evening dress, and maybe it's white, maybe it's bright red, that it would stay white, that it'd stay bright red. By that, I mean the place has to be clean. It's got to pass the white glove test clean. And it needs to look that slick because that's what I wanted. That's the style I went for. So for me, step one, it was make sure the place is so easy to clean that part of my morning routine is keeping it white glove clean. That if you run a white glove over it, it stays white. So already I've got railings that I wipe down each morning, and wiping them each morning with a moist towelette is cheap and super fast. Then the floors each morning, I walk with a Swiffer it's basically like a wet paper towel thing attached to a wand. That takes maybe 3 minutes starting at the upstairs, because then debris falls down as I wipe down the stairs, and then the downstairs, and all together, maybe 3 minutes. Then I do all the dishes after every cooking. So that tells me that what kind of dishes I have are important and how easy they are to clean is important. The windows and the blinds I clean right about once a month, and that seems to be enough. So I do have a ladder that I keep under the bed, which lets me clean the blinds on the upstairs height and clean the windows on the upstairs height. The bathroom, I Swiffer it, I sweep it for hair or all the stuff that drops into the bathroom once a morning. And then I clean the toilet, the sink, the bathtub, and the shower once a week to once a month, depending on frequency of use. And that does keep it white glove clean. Now, the two tools that I think you're gonna need are, one, the Swiffer, the sweeper with the paper towel attachment, and two, a roller, a stick roller that will remove lint. And you're gonna want that for your clothes anyway. Then next, you want, it's what fits your style. So for me, I wanted a really nice couch that looked modern, that looked sleek, and looked like you could sit on it wearing a really expensive white outfit, and it would stay white. So I roller clean it. Well, I try every day, but often it's more like once a week. And I actually roller clean the walls for dust. And like these surfaces here that collect dust, right about once a week. And then run a damp towelette or even a tissue, a Kleenex, along the sills that keeps them below dust. That by itself keeps things really sharp. Then for me, that lends itself to a minimalist modern aesthetic. So I have some plants, and I pull off dead leaves once a week, water them once a week. They also aid in sleep. Like this one here right next to the bed helps me feel sleepy. What's this? It's not a lilac. It's that awesome plant that helps you feel sleepy. I can't think of the name right now. Then having a 3D body scanner looks sharp, looks modern, I think. This is from Naked Labs, and lets me keep track of my fitness goals. Then, although I don't have them laid out right now, I have 5 clothes stands for outfits: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I hope to put Saturday and Sunday, and then another one for the workout clothes. across here, but right now it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I can visually differentiate how I show up in the world outside every day, and lay out shoes underneath, and socks and undies and outerwear, see how it works together, how it looks together. There'll be, I hope, a follow-up post on fashion. For interior layouting, I recommend these organizational cubbies. I got these at the dollar store. Here it's called Daiso, or 100 shop. And this lets me organize socks visually, undies visually, hats, belts, accessories like sunglasses, wallet, cufflinks, thick winter socks if I'm going to an outside winter event. It's almost Christmas time right now. So there's the illuminations here in Tokyo where you're gonna wanna make some mulled wine or hot coffee with whiskey in it, and then wear warm socks, gloves, scarf, still look as sharp as possible, and go enjoy those outside times. Spare sheets, tools, because I don't have a toolbox, right? But there's tools here, etc., different watches, accessories, so I can visually accessorize. Then the clothes are arranged by color. First there's outer coats, and then shirts by color, letting me know what colors I'm missing. You can see I have almost no green, so if I find a green that I like, oh, I gotta lint roll this. There's an opportunity to fill that in. And then I do have short sleeve shirts because there are still some hot days here at any time of the year. And then those get layered with a coat. These then get composed on the clothes racks with shoes, belts, accessories, outerwear. And that helps me tell the story visually of what I want to do. These racks were, I think, $44 on Amazon. I think they're on Amazon US and Amazon JP, highly recommended. Then you can see that composes almost all of the styling elements of the apartment, and it really comes off well. When I have guests, they say they love it. They often use the word oshare, meaning fashionable, sharp, chic. You can see some Christmas decorations are up right now because it's that time of year here. Again, these bins help me organize art supplies. I like to draw, pastels, colored pencils, paints, laptop, charger, calendars. I'm practicing Japanese, so Japanese study guides are there. Then here, this could be a Western height table for sitting with chairs. This is a Japanese height table for sitting on the floor, which I actually really like. And since this apartment has heated floors, that's what this wall switch does. Sitting on the heated floor is actually really comfortable, and you get this filtered view, which is pleasant. Now, I've got an easel and playing with paints for fun, and then the indoor herb garden. That indoor herb garden metal long profile pot was, I think, $50 on Amazon. And then from the flower shop, once a week, I'll spend $5 to $15 and refreshing. You see the rose needs to change, but the poinsettia is nice and healthy. Then I try to get dishes that are pretty all by themselves. So while they're drying, it's attractive. And you can see some flowers, when they dry, maintain their shape. And then I can put them in a diffuser and they stay looking good. Then for guests, I think it's important to have a table by the couch, by the seating area. And I can bring over this snack tier. This is a Marcel Wanders piece. I think it was $300 from that Dutch design studio. I got it from alessi.com, I think, or it might have been Amazon. Bringing this over and setting it in front of the guests adds visual flair, and I'll stock it differently depending on what I'm trying to match it with. So there's wines, booze, and I invest in these slowly over time. And I try to get nice bottles that each could spark a conversation depending on the guest. Oh, I like whiskey. This is one of the more interesting whiskeys in the world, potentially. The Balvenie Caribbean Cask, aged 14 years, which was a tip from a Facebook friend. Or the Yamazaki or Hibiki are very difficult to get. Now, I like to mix this with low-cost stuff too, which I put in the back, so you just see the neck of the bottle. This is a 7-Eleven wine for $5, and it's actually delicious. So depending on the occasion, what it calls for, that makes perfect sense. refrigerators don't come with apartments in Tokyo, so you gotta buy them even when you're just renting. I got this one because it fit the width but had a low enough height I could put stuff on top. Could put a microwave on top later if I wanted to, which I haven't needed. I don't have a microwave. I use the Le Creuset as an oven. And I'll usually leave the Le Creuset and the, I think it's a Kalita Aladdin style pouring pitcher out because I think they look good. And these, when they're dry, will get put away, but as they're drying, I think they still are attractive. So there's almost zero furniture in the place. There's a couch, there's this table that actually folds away, there's the easel, if you want to call it furniture, and the bed, and that's it. I have stools in the back from IDC Otsuka, and they stack. So I can put 2 stools next to the couch. And the patio, you might think of needing patio furniture, but I find standing and talking while having a drink is the more enjoyable way to experience it anyway. And the fashion element is ultimately the windows. Paired with contemporary lighting and keeping the place just as absolutely clean as possible also helps it keep feeling big. Now, if I owned this place and I could put up wallpaper, what I would do is have a contrast back wall, probably dark, probably black, with silver textured Baroque pattern to here. That would give a contrast, a sharp contrast, and then likely continue it again above that shelf, but with a different background color, maybe a cobalt blue, but with the same silver print. And I might print that myself by cutting out the edge in a sponge and then using a silvered paint, putting it all across the back. But as it's a rental, I'm strictly not allowed. Now, there are some adhesives that claim to be completely residue-free release, so you could experiment with wallpaper and really change the look, including a printed wallpaper that looks like a rainforest or looks like an Australian beach scene or something that fits the vibe you're trying to create. Please let me know how that works if you do. I've been wanting to do it myself, but I haven't been brave enough, so let me know. Now, for what I'm after, that champagne bar, the ultimate decoration would be a grand piano. And it fits. It would just barely fit here, but it would block most of the view and it would block access to the dishes, which is what I keep here in the pantry. So that's a trade-off, and it's a $10,000 trade-off for a gloss black Yamaha Baby Grand. Right now, the dishes, there's about $1,000 of dishes in here altogether. Pots, pans, cedar and alderwood smoking boards for salmon, espresso maker, coffee grinder, mixer, everything. Dessert presentation piece, stacks of silver trays of different types, to an apron. And I think that was a good investment because these are used again and again and again. And a bottle of wine, depending on how many people you have over, might even last only one night. And I think that's a good investment sometimes. But these are fantastic. I pull this out when I'm mixing a drink, and I have a muddler, different mixers, a beautiful damask bladed waiter's friend. All of that is impressive and enjoyable and sets a scene. And I get to set this down maybe on a colored napkin, cloth woven napkin, maybe out of kimono material, and it makes a statement, which is pleasant. When I'm serving meals, I'll typically nest dishes. So I'll have a colored dish on a different base color on a silver tray, and then put one of these next to it with all the correct cutlery. And that really sets the tone nicely. Again, this investment wasn't crazy. This is about $1,000 of everything, including the cookingware. Well, maybe a little over, because these guys were actually $200 just themselves. These are antiques. My goodness, might be $1,500 in here, because these were a very expensive piece. But they create conversation, and I think that's part of the goal, especially if you're trying to live a non-disposable lifestyle and have stuff last, is buy stuff that looks good enough to start a conversation by itself and don't buy very much of it. So I have sets of dishware for 2 people for everything, because that's mostly what I want, is to have just one good friend over. And I have some sets, minimalist set, for 6 people. So I could have 4 people over, 5 people over, and give a pleasant service, but not full decoration for everybody. Full decoration is sets for 2. That keeps it compact, easy to wash, easy to clean. With that interior design style, this place really gets great comments from everybody that comes over here. And it's, for what it is, incredibly affordable. The way it's decorated is incredibly affordable. There's no TV, because I want to talk to people when they're here. So that saves some money. There's no audio video except for a Sonos Play 5, which nests here, is controlled by the app, and is way higher performance than you'd need in a Tokyo apartment. It'll shake this place, which I wouldn't want to do out of respect for the neighbors. So for the volume level I'd want to play, it's completely hi-fi, which is phenomenal. Then some contrasting color bases. Let's just go right into fashion, because this all has to do with color. You can see there's a red tone largely throughout. So I have neutral colors and red. And there's some other colors, there's mixes of everything, but it's mostly neutral colors and red. And that's very intentional. It creates a general tonality. So I have silvers, whites, reds, and then a small amount of every other accent color. Let's do the same for fashion. So here is a very slick suit. This is from Australia on a business trip there. The suits were on sale for $300 a set. MJ Bale is where this came from. They set me up with pocket squares of contrasting colors. It fits brilliantly. That was the important thing. It's very crisp, it hangs crisp, it fits very sharp, very smart. Many people will say the best fashion is six-pack abs, and I'd say they're probably right. Some other people would say the best fashion is a gorgeous smile, and I'd say they're probably right. Everything you put on after that is a bonus. Proof of that, maybe, is, I thought, a famous Guess jeans billboard. And the model on the billboard was laying there naked, barely covering their unmentionables, as it's a US ad, so they have unmentionables in the US. So it's a black and white photograph of a very fit model, and they're not even wearing jeans. And the ad is for Guess jeans. It's an old ad. It was a long time ago. Stunning ad. Great job by the ad makers, the photographer, the model. There were no jeans in the ad. I bet they sold a tremendous amount of jeans. So it's not nearly as much about what you're wearing as about, does it show off the best parts of your body? So for men and women, that's a great shoulder to waistline ratio. Is your waistline really slender to the extent you can, healthily, compared to your shoulders, and then again to your hips? You want, for men, we'll call it an inverted, we'll call it a V shape, an inverted triangle, terminating in your hips. It's really the same that women would want, women would target. And for men, we want strong looking legs. They look good, and on ladies too. And it ends up being basically an hourglass. So we want the slimmest fit possible on the waist. And we want anything that accentuates or widens our elbow, or our shoulders, for men and women. That will tell us where to put color. First, for overall shape, when I'm just holding this, it's hanging slack. Sorry about that. Maybe I'll paste in something of me wearing it so you can see how it really makes my shoulders look wider, which is the purpose of a really good suit. That's its job. So your clothes, the job one is to create the right outline, the right silhouette. And then your job is to smile and look good, do the best you can for fashion. Then we're going to come to contrasting color, way less important than the silhouette, than the shape. Then elongating the shoulders for men and women, really pulling in the waist. For that, stretch fabrics help so much. If you have a two-piece, which almost all men's clothing is, by that I mean it's separate pants from top. Ladies will sometimes have a one-piece where the skirt is connected to the top to make a dress. That has some advantages. You can cinch the back and keep it tight around the waist almost all day. For men, it's almost all two-piece, and for a lot of women's outfits too. So when you have a belt on, it creates a bunching effect. You get this, we'll call it a spare tire, a bunching effect on the side, and it makes you look fatter than you are around the middle. It breaks up that attractive outline we want of really hugging the waist, and from the back and from the front. Stretch fabrics help so much. You can wear snaps. They're like suspenders that pull the shirt down tight for men and women, and they connect to your socks or a garter belt, if that's what you're wearing as a lady. I guess men could too. Or all the way down even to your shoes. The problem is they pull taut against the inside of your pants, and that can break up the outline there and make your legs look wider than you want in places where you might not want. Better are stretch fabrics. So most of these shirts are from Mizzen and Man or other makers that have at least 5% spandex or lycra. You can see the stretch, they're basically elastic. What that lets you do is have it be really tight around the waist. Now, I'm not crazy skinny. I have a 32-inch waist, which is, well, it's thin, it's fit, but it's not ridiculous. And I'm 188 centimeters tall. Sorry to mix metrics and imperial. So 6 foot 2 inches tall. None of these clothes fit me off the rack the way you would want them to. So I do need to sew them all together. What that ends up being is either I or a tailor cuts slits in the side, first folds the fabric together and stitches it together to just take fabric out, and then stitches it. Sometimes these are called darts, and all of my shirts get these. If I pay someone else to do it, it's between $20 and $60 depending on where in the world I am. It's completely worth it. You can absolutely do it yourself. It's a very simple sew. And what that does is for a shirt that's off the rack, so it fits you nice and loose, which is what you want in the shoulders and chest. Loose, so it makes it look even bigger than it is. And then snug, skin tight snug, wet t-shirt snug around where you want to be thin, which is the area between your thigh and your ribs, your middle, your waistline. That's the fashion of the outline. Then color matching. What we want most of the time, and this rule is meant to be broken, but it is a rule most of the time, is contrasting color. If you're wearing all brown, it usually looks awful. There are ways to pull that off. But what's great is to have brown and then pair it with a complementary color, like dark blue jeans or even light blue jeans, and then a white center top. Where you have the contrasting color is where the eye is drawn. And you want that to be most of the time your face. So if you have bright red shoes and you also have a bright red belt, the eye gets confused as to what it's seeing. So if you're going to do that, you also need a bright red shirt so the eye doesn't get confused. It sees a lot of bright red. Then the pants stand out and pop, whether they're white pants, which you want to pop because maybe you really like your leg shape and you really like the way those white pants look on your legs, and the red ends up mostly washing out even though it's red because you have red shoes, red belt, red shirt. So the pants are going to be the contrast piece. Then what you can do is wear also a white hat or a red and white hat, and that pulls the attention back up to your face, which is largely the point of what you want. If you have too much of the same color next to each other, even in varying shades, khaki pants and this brown jacket tend to not be the best combination, for example, unless it's a really light khaki. So it ends up effectively being white or high contrast compared to the leather jacket. That'll help. That is what drives the decision to get something maybe controversial like a white suit. Notice the pocket square color. That's the color undershirt or dress shirt you'd want under this, or white. Either that dark blue or that dark brown or white. So you have high contrast, even though this is white. It's a off-white. Here, I'll turn some lights on. Get some more color for us. So a bright white will contrast with this. Well, I don't know if that'll show up on the phone, but it does. So you can wear this with the white suit pants or with jeans. Since it's white, you can have a dark base color shirt. So for most jackets, they're dark. So you really can only get away with, most of the time, a light base color shirt. So it's really fun to have a light jacket so you can create the contrast you're interested in with something like this, which, since it's got red in it, you can contrast with blue, but it looks great with the white. This red shirt, red contrasts great with the blue. That works wonderfully. Yeah, a solid like this doesn't make sense with the blue, but absolutely works with the white. So having a light color accessory layer of a light enough fabric weight that you can wear it at least 3 seasons, spring, summer, and fall, or spring, winter, and fall, or spring, summer, and fall if it's really light, lets you have a lot of fashion variety. And again, the goal here is to have, most of the time, contrasting colors. Now that said, you can totally get away with all black. Black suit, black shirt, black pants, black shoes, black socks. You can. Black is special that way. Especially if you've trimmed your hair really neat and fresh. And I haven't shaved today, sorry everybody. But if you look really crisp and your grooming is really up to par, you can absolutely rock all black. That's very classic, especially if you have different levels of shine. So if you have a shiny vest over a very matte shirt, it creates contrast anyway, depending on the light. Or if you have a very matte black suit and you have bright, shiny black shoes, and then you have a really shiny silver watch band, or black shiny watch band, it still works. So shiny can come into play. Texture will effectively do the same thing. So if you have contrasting textures that complement, that'll work well. But please remember, if you're half and half color scheme, the eye gets confused. So a usual rule would be 3/4 or even more, one dominant color or texture or shininess, and then 1/4 or less the other, the contrast, and that's where you want the attention that day. So if you've just done shoulders, you've just done weightlifting shoulders, and so you have a little extra swell, about 10% extra swell on your shoulders that whole day because you've just done shoulders, you might want to wear a shirt that fits really well, really tight, really tucked against your shoulders, and you might want that shirt to be the contrasting color piece, whereas your pants, your jacket when you're wearing one, which you'll want to take off because shoulders, your shoes, your belt, your watch band, if you change colors, your hat would be the other color to make them, or the other texture, or the other shininess level to make them pop. So the same thing works for automobiles. Let's say you have a bright red new Tesla. People are going to see that car. And if you're wearing a black suit, you're not going to really stand out. What you're saying is, look at my car. My car is cool, which I think it is. I think a nice shiny red Tesla is super cool, actually. Whereas if you get a white or black Tesla, or even silver, or whatever kind of car you like, I like Teslas, and you're wearing a red suit, you're saying, look at me. So if you go to that event, that ballet, that friend's house, that birthday party, that shopping trip, that visit to the cafe, whatever it is that you would have a car to do, if you are the contrasting color and the car is the backdrop, you pop. Now that's different for each city and the temperature, the color temperature of the sun. I'm not kidding at all. So if you're in Portugal, a lot of the buildings are colorful and they have colors that come from the color of the soil, and that soil is influenced by the colors of the plants, and those plants are influenced by the color temperature of the sun. So it is a warmer palette. If you have a warmer palette car or house, it blends in more. If you take that same color car and put it in Tokyo, which is a very stark palette, and you have a lot of black buildings, a lot of black, there's black everywhere here. A like slightly warm colored tan pops, it's almost jarring. It's even more true in London, where basically everything's granite or black, and white pops. Even white is jarring, and dark, almost black blue is jarring. And to some point, the same is true in many parts of Germany. So if you look at the general color of the landscape around the area you live, the neighborhood you live, that's your background color. So your suit will blend in if it's that color, and then your accessory is the contrasting color, will make it pop. So let's say you live in Miami, Florida. It's a very bright colored place. Your contrast color can be straight black, and it will pop because that's not at all the norm in Miami, Florida for the color, temperature, etc. Whereas a bright neon lime green or neon orange kind of fits. I mean, it has some pop, but it kind of fits the color, temperature, the beach color, the beach wear color, all around, the lights of signs. So if you were wearing, well, a neon bathing suit, okay, that would still contrast. But if your car is neon lime green or neon orange in Florida, it won't jump out like it would in many other parts of the world. So it actually could be your background color car. And if you get out of that wearing an all black suit, you are the contrasting thing. And you're saying, look at me. It's not the car that's so important here. It's me that's so important here. So if you were Elon Musk and you own Tesla, you would totally want to rock a contrasting color Tesla. And you might choose sometimes to have the secondary colors what you're wearing. And you say, look, what's important is the car. But if what you're trying to say is, look at me, which is the better fashion statement, I think. Like, you have high value in yourself. You think you're interesting. Here's me. Works much better if for the color palette of the city around you or the valley around you or the forest around you, you're the contrasting color and your car is the complementary or neutral color to support that. And same's true for houses. Same's true for airplanes if you have access to be painting those, boats, all those things. So if you have a neon boat, you're saying, look, what's important is my boat, or a bright white boat, which is pretty typical. And that pops versus the typical color of the sea in most areas of the world. Well, you're saying my boat is important. Whereas if your boat is a fairly neutral, non-reflective color, and you dress in a more flashy way, what you're saying is important is you, which I think is the more interesting and worthwhile fashion statement, especially for what I view as the purpose of fashion, which I talked about in an earlier video blog. Well, yeah, I think we covered some of that ground. There's many more bits, and we still haven't done posture or dental work yet, but hopefully coming soon. For now, enjoy the view of Mount Fuji there under the clouds, Roppongi Hills, Moto Azabu Hills, and here is Abu Juban, where we're living right now at sunset. Hope everyone's having an amazing time.